She caught me between camera flashes and congratulations, her fingers brushing mine, her smile too polished to be real. The room smelled of champagne and ambition. Reporters shouted her name, her partners hovered around her like satellites seeking orbit. And in the center of that manufactured universe, she slid a thin, cream envelope into my palm. I knew its weight before I opened it. Divorce papers, fresh ink, my name written with the casual precision of a business transaction. She didn't say a word. She didn't need to. Her eyes told the rest. She expected compliance. Quiet compliance. The kind I'd always given her. My heartbeat didn't spike. My breathing didn't change. I simply looked at her, then at the papers, then back at the glittering crowd waiting for her next victory pose. And I signed. Right there on her new firm's marble reception counter. Cameras behind us, applause around us, nobody noticing the moment her world shifted. Not yet. She leaned in, whispering something like, "It's better this way." Better for whom? I placed the pen down gently, like setting a surgical tool after a precise incision. Then I walked out. The air outside was colder than I expected. Clean, empty, waiting. By the time the firm's lights dimmed, I had already pulled every dollar of my $25 million investment from her company's accounts and redirected it to a place she could never reach. Her first missed call came at 9:17 p.m. It didn't stop. The truth rarely arrives in explosions. It comes as small fractures, hairline cracks you pretend not to see. For months, something in her had shifted. She spoke less, worked more, touched me like she was checking a box. Her eyes wandered when she thought I wasn't watching. She guarded her phone the way people guard guilt, not privacy. But I told myself stories. People in love always do. Until one night, weeks before her grand opening, a single message changed everything. Her phone buzzed on the table while she was showering. A name I didn't recognize. A preview of a message I wish I could unsee. "I miss the way you looked at me today." 9 words, sharp enough to pierce bone. I stared at the screen, my chest tightening, but I didn't touch it. That's the part she never understood about me. I don't react. I calculate. She came out of the bathroom humming, oblivious, a towel wrapped around her hair like a crown. When she saw her phone in my hand's periphery, she froze for a fraction of a second, just long enough. She kissed my cheek, asked what I wanted for dinner, pretended nothing was wrong. I mirrored her perfectly. But inside, the cold had already begun to spread, inch by inch, a quiet frostbite of the heart. In that moment, I realized something devastating. She didn't fall out of love. She climbed out. Strategically, consciously, towards someone else. The betrayal wasn't the affair, it was the planning, the calculated withdrawal of affection, the careful redirection of loyalty, the slow, deliberate erasure of me. And when she slipped those divorce papers into my hand at her grand opening, I finally saw the complete picture. She wasn't leaving, she had already left. I didn't confront her. Confrontation gives the guilty too much power. It exposes your wounds, shows them where to dig deeper. Instead, I studied. I became the quiet observer in our home, noting the inconsistencies she thought she'd hidden well. Late-night client meetings, sudden gym sessions she never came back sweating from, perfume she wore only when she wasn't meeting me. I checked our shared financial accounts. Small withdrawals to places she never mentioned, hotel charges disguised as lunch meetings, rideshare logs that didn't lead to her office. I tracked patterns, distances, timelines. The picture formed slowly, like a Polaroid developing in silence. Still, I waited. Patience is its own form of pressure. When she left one weekend for a team retreat, I took a drive of my own, to a private lab. DNA analysis, phone record extraction, data recovery from her deleted chats, all legally obtained through accounts we shared. By morning, I held a folder thick enough to break a marriage twice.
She returned home glowing, energized, the way people glow when they're living two lives and believe they're smart enough to juggle both. She curled into bed beside me, humming. She kissed my shoulder, told me she was proud of me for supporting her firm, told me I was her foundation. Strange word, foundation. Stable, unseen, taken for granted. I lay still, listening to her breathe, realizing I was sleeping beside a stranger carved from the woman I once loved. Every detail, every sign, every shift, it all pointed to the same truth. She wasn't just betraying me, she was preparing to replace me. The divorce papers at her grand opening weren't a surprise attack. They were a final step in a plan she'd rehearsed down to the last breath.
But there was something she didn't know. Every investment her firm depended on was mine. Every contract she bragged about routed through my shell companies. Every executive she trusted answered to me. I didn't need to destroy her, I only needed to step away. And sometimes the quietest withdrawal is the loudest devastation. The evidence arrived 2 days before her grand opening. A thick envelope on my desk, phone logs, messages, photos, locations, timelines. A detailed, unforgiving account of who she really was when she left the house each morning. Her affair wasn't new. It wasn't emotional confusion. It wasn't a mistake. It was a second life, one she'd been cultivating long before she decided to end ours. The man was someone from her firm, younger, ambitious, a shadow climbing up her ambition like ivy. I studied every line of the report in silence, my heartbeat steady, my mind calm. When she left for a final rehearsal event, I placed the file on the kitchen counter with her favorite pen, silver, engraved, a gift from me years ago. When she returned, she saw the envelope before she saw me. Her hand trembled before she even touched it. "Where did you get this?" she whispered. A question people ask only when they're guilty. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse. I simply asked, "How long?" Her face collapsed, the truth rushing out of her in fragmented breaths. Apologies, excuses, half-built explanations. I listened, not because I cared, but because silence makes people unravel faster. When she finished, I nodded once. No rage, no tears. Just a clean, final severing inside me. She reached for me, desperate. "We can fix this. Please, just talk to me." But I had already decided. Talking was what she did when she wanted control. Silence was mine. Her grand opening was perfect. Lights, flowers, media coverage. The culmination of her dream, financed entirely by me. She looked radiant, confident, certain she still held the power. Then she handed me the divorce papers like a queen granting mercy. She expected shock, maybe sadness, maybe a plea for explanation. Instead, I signed in a single fluid motion. Her eyes widened, not in triumph, but in confusion. Something in my calmness unsettled her. She wasn't prepared for a version of me she couldn't manipulate. I closed the folder, handed it back, and whispered, "Congratulations." Then I walked out. The withdrawal process took minutes. I'd prepared everything beforehand. Every share, every loan, every financial backbone of her firm, removed with surgical precision. By the time she finished her speech inside, her company's accounts were already bleeding. At 9:17 p.m., the panic began. Her voice flooded my voicemail, fear, anger, desperation, tangled into frantic pleas. "Where are you? We need to talk. Why did you do this? Please answer." Call after call, message after message. By midnight, the count hit 338. Her firm was collapsing. Her partners were pulling out. Contracts were freezing. Banks were flagging inconsistencies. Her entire empire had been a tower built on my quiet support, and now it had no foundation. I didn't block her. I let the calls come. Sometimes the sound of consequences is the most honest music.
The final call arrived at 12:41 a.m. Her voice was broken, small, stripped of its practiced confidence. "Please, just tell me why." I almost answered, not out of sympathy, out of clarity. But then I realized something. She already knew why. People don't fear losing love. They fear losing the person who kept them standing. I set the phone down and stepped outside, breathing air that tasted cleaner than it had in years. Freedom isn't loud. It's a quiet exhale after a long-held lie. She built a life on deception and expected me to hold it steady. She mistook my calm for weakness. She mistook my silence for blindness. She forgot the simplest truth. I don't raise my voice. I remove my presence. By dawn, I felt nothing. Not love, not hate, not anger. Just clarity. The kind that arrives when you finally walk away from someone who believed they could live two lives without ever losing the one that mattered. And in that stillness, one truth settled fully. Some people learn the value of loyalty only after the person they betrayed stops picking up the phone. I never answered any of the 338 calls.